Okay, welcome everybody. John Zager. This is my fifth video, YouTube video on self-healing, thought healing. And I'm excited today to talk about the topic, which is meditation. That's the tool that we're using to access our subconscious and be able to possibly relearn some things so that we can heal ourselves, both from physical as well as mental health issues. Again, I'm 38 years clinical psychology, and I'm going to move this around. I actually found a room. Look at this. This is a great, big, huge room to present in, and good place for me to practice, huh? And so I don't know, somebody will probably be coming in to use the room a little bit later and it'll put the kibosh on the whole thing, but we'll see how it goes. So anyway, I'm 38 years clinical psychology. I stopped doing clinical in 2008. The past 5 years now, I've been doing research on happiness, wellness, and self-healing. Thought healing is another term for it. And have been just fascinated with it. If you go on the internet and read about spontaneous recovery, there's thousands and thousands of stories of people that are healing themselves from fourth-stage cancers, dying next week, next month. Remarkable recoveries. Scans get done, and I never had cancer, never was sick. So we're talking about any and all diseases and terminal illnesses. And my angle that's different from the other, there's a lot of real authorities out there, professional doctors that talk about the science. I'm not a doctor. I'm a clinician. That's what I am, and that's what I've done my whole life. And I'm working on the mental health side. So depression, anxiety, to be specific in this particular. I'm going to keep touching these things because I have my phone and my iPad here with notes. So you'll see me moving around. My apologies for that. But so I'm looking at depression, anxiety, and hypertension. Just a quick scenario catch up on how all this sort of relates is that there's different parts of your brain, right? And one part talks to another part that talks to the pituitary gland that sends out hormones down in your bloodstream, goes down to the adrenal gland. Adrenal glands are those little thumb-sized things that sit on top of each kidney. They may be enlarged, they may not from overuse. Pituitary gland is, of course, in the back of your head, just connected with some fibers, and critical part in just your well-being in so many different areas. But anyway, this hormone is released, goes down through the blood, gets into the adrenal glands, and permits the excretion of adrenaline to be released and cortisol, stress hormones. Not good, not good. Now, homeostasis, everything needs to be in balance in our body. We need to have some release of some of that kind of stuff from time to time for different reasons. And so what happens is people that grow up possibly in dysfunctional families, they go through trauma. A person just in their life goes through trauma, and they end up being in a state of stress for long periods of time, extended periods of time. And you're living in a state of survival, right? Not good, because all these stress hormones are released, and that's not really what we want to have happening. That the best hormones we want to have happen are the happy or health hormones, dopamine, pleasure hormone, stimulated with goals and stuff like that. We all have that. Serotonin. We get serotonin in the morning when we wake up, boosts our mood, has to do with depression, oxytocin, love hormone. When you meet somebody for the first time, blah, 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 endorphins. The other one, which blocks pain. Uh, so those are the ones we would rather have firing off than the stress hormones. And what happens is, if you have enough stress in your life and you're living out of survival, this stuff is coming into your system all the time, and it has bad characteristics. It increases blood pressure. That's cortisol. That's one of the things it has to do with. Increases blood pressure and sugar, contributes to obesity, decreased libido, obviously. Adrenaline, fight or flight. How many times have you felt that, to where the adrenaline gets going? So with those, the likelihood, you would say, is that that person may become depressed over a long period of time, may become anxious, acquire a generalized anxiety disorder, and with the cause of those two things, what would be the next obvious? Obviously, our immune system is reduced, and we become susceptible to disease. In this particular case, what we're working on is hypertension or high blood pressure, as I drink coffee with caffeine. So, meditation, there's kind of three parts to our brain, right? This is layman's terms. I mean, go find a scientist if you want to get the other end of the deal. I'm not. So, we have a conscious brain, we have the subconscious brain, and we have an analytical brain, all right? So up to the age of 35, all of our habits and everything is formed. And from that point forward, usually we keep repeating the same thing day after day, thought after thought, day after day. Everything's the same. What we did today, we did yesterday. What we thought yesterday, we thought yesterday. What we thought today, we thought yesterday and the day before and the day before. We have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of those are the same as yesterday, right? That's our subconscious. That's the stuff we have to go in and look at and try to erase and change the connections. All right, got that. So the conscious brain might leave, 5-10% left. And do we even use it? If we're in a state of survival, right? If we're in a state of survival, how can we become creative? How can we become creative? We're so consumed with trying to get from sunrise to sunset. So we have very little opportunity to be creative and use our conscious brain. The other part that gets into the middle part is our analytical brain. And if we're set up in the world, we're constantly focused on the outside and surviving and how are we going to get through each day after day. Our analytical brain gets in the way. And for some people, it's easier to get over that, to get to the subconscious. For other people, it takes a long time. So what tool I've been using, and what seems to be used a fair amount, is meditation, right? So meditation, there's definitions everywhere. Go find one you like. What is meditation? Meditation is the practice of turning your attention to a single point of reference. It can involve focusing on breath, on bodily sensations, or on a word or phrase known as mantra. In other words, meditation means turning your attention away from distracting thoughts and focusing on present movement. So how do you get into meditation? There's several different ways. What a lot of people do is they go through their body, which is what I've talked about a little bit before. They start off with different parts of their body, and they start tensing up and relaxing, tensing, relaxing. Each muscle group, arms, left arm, right arm, legs, your torso, all that kind of stuff, and it starts relaxing you. The second way that somebody might do that is focus on their breathing, trying to bring your breathing down as shallow as you possibly can. Okay, another way is to have a thought, right? The thought might be gratitude, which, by the way, is what we're going to kind of be talking about in the next session coming up. But it relaxes you. If you have so much gratitude going on, it's pretty hard to focus on stressful kinds of things. So, what we're doing with um, meditation is we're changing our brain waves. Okay? So, brain waves start off at beta. That's when you're awake, functioning. It allows you to interact throughout the entire day. Okay? That kind of thing. And if you're in a state of stress or survival, that's the next one up, which is kind of a higher beta. Okay, it's like, I don't know, maybe like, what do they say, running a sports car in first gear all the time. So you can't really be very creative if, in fact, your brain waves are um, running so fast. So we have beta up at the top. Probably not going to have a lot of meditation at that point. The next one below that is alpha, which is kind of where you're slipping down into a relaxed state, and now you become more susceptible to being able to meditate and possibly get back a little bit further into your subconscious thought. Where we'd like to see people at, and what seems to work according to statistics that I read, I'm not doing these, but what I read is theta. That's the third one down, right? And so theta allows you, you're near sleeping, your body's kind of almost asleep, but your mind is still awake. So we're taking our conscious side, getting over our analytical side, and down into our subconscious to where we can start disconnecting neurons that have messages from our subconscious past that are unhealthy for us and leading to our disease. And at that point in time, we can also replace that with new neuron connections, neurotransmitters connecting, synapses, and all that kind of stuff you guys learned in school. And we can program in new connections that are the healthier ones that allow us to have the health hormones as opposed to the stress hormones. Thus, what happens is that we become less anxious, we become less depressed, and our hypertension theoretically should subside at that point. So, and then of course, deep sleep is delta, which some people can meditate in deep sleep. I'm not. So that's the process. That's what's really, really important for us to do that. The second half of all of these presentations, and I'm trying to make this video under a certain amount of time, so excuse me for kind of going fast today. But the process of using meditation, gives us the opportunity to erase some of the old thought that's leading to the stress, because we're already perceiving a reaction that is an old reaction from the past, as opposed to being creative and saying, I'm optimistic, I think things are going to work out. I'm firing new connections with new thoughts and a different personality. Our personality equals our reality, right? How we think, act, and feel is our personality. So the second half of my presentations are usually about how I'm doing with my meditations. That's what I'm using as a tool. I'm trying to follow along with Dr. Joe Dispenza. And again, I've not attended any of his workshops. I'm just trying to work on it and see if it works and present it to YouTube. And you guys can decide for yourself if any of this is beneficial or not, and see the progress that I'm making. So I used to go part by part and bit by bit in my body, and then visualize, hardened arteries and veins and constrictions, and visualize those opening, softening, becoming more pliable and blood flowing better. I didn't get any result out of that. I don't know. I think it's a great tool. But so now what I've done is I've tried to just blank out three things: my body, my environment, and time. So my meditations now are about nothing. My meditations, the lights went out. I don't know why. Maybe they do that. And that's what I've been working on for 2 days. The end result is that as of right now, and this is only after 2 days, I'm not getting any lowering of my hypertension. But I'm really optimistic right now that it's going in a better direction, and I like this course of meditation better than the other one that I was using. I'm going to stick with it. I'm fairly certain I'm going to get a reduction in hypertension, the systolic and diastolic readings. And so, again, that's what's been happening with me that I do every night. I do all my meditations at night. I don't do them in the morning. Well, I did a little bit this morning, but for the most part, I'm doing them at night. So that's that. Optimistic about that. Next week, I'm doing these a lot shorter than a week at a time, but we're going to look at gratitude. Boy, there's a huge conversation around gratitude and what it actually does for the system, keeping everything in homeostasis. So please hit that little subscribe button. We're starting to get a few more people looking. I'm putting this on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and obviously YouTube. So, the more subscribers, the better. If you have any questions, jzegar@gmail.com, jzegar@gmail.com. Find a phone number. If you feel like you might want to risk, me doing a presentation for you or a little workshop or a question and answer, just something from a layman's standpoint, please contact me, call me. I'll make it happen. The other thing is self-supporting, send some money into my YouTube account. I'd like to go to a workshop of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I don't have the money to do it, and I've not received any financial aid from them. So that's just jzegar@gmail.com under PayPal. I'm sure you all have PayPal accounts. I don't care how much you send something. Just make me feel like I'm not standing up here talking to myself. So that's it for today. The other part I want to talk about just for half a second is that my moods have changed. I don't know what that's about. My depression has definitely lightened a lot. Not that I was overly depressed, but I clearly know that I was depressed. Not taking medication or anything, but it's better. And my generalized anxiety disorder, it's different. I don't know what's gone on with it. I'm not as anxious about things. I feel a little bit more optimistic, and I like this room. I hope I get to use this again next week or the next time I do this. So bless all you guys for watching and having the patience to stick with me on this kind of thing. You never know. Maybe something will happen in your life where, you create you attract some sort of a disease, and you'd rather be able to take care of these situations before something tragic or diagnosis occurs. And I believe it works, and I'm just real happy to stand here and present. If nobody listens, one person listens, or 100 people listen, I'm ecstatic about the possibility of helping one other person. So bless you all, and I'll see you all next week. Thanks a lot. Bye.